So let's first talk about the yield. Now, I want you to be thinking about this almost like as an infant, a baby in the mother's womb, and then how, as the child moves through development from 0 to 1, 0 to 2. Now, you're also going to think about your clients in adulthood or teenagehood, wherever they're at, but I want you to just orient to the natural reflexes that happen. So, yield is essentially the concept of being able to fully surrender your weight and your body into gravity, really being held. When a baby is in their mother's womb, there's this feeling of just being held, not having to work hard, just being and being held and comforted and just being able to settle in to an environment. You can almost imagine a child like resting their body on their parents. Yield will look like a relaxed alertness that allows us to fully and consciously receive support. So the person's kind of awake and conscious, but there's this feeling of relief. And the reason I'm saying that they're conscious is because I want to help you see that there's a difference between conscious support and somebody who's in like just collapse, where they're just like shut down and they're collapsed, where they're kind of not connected to consciousness. An alert kind of support, right, is when the person is conscious and they're really feeling that support. So it's not a collapse. Right? When somebody has either disruptions in their childhood, maybe impaired attachment, they might hold excessive tension, or they might be in constant chronic survival, looking around at their environments because they never really got to have a successful yield. Maybe in their mother's belly there was always tension and nervousness, so that even they felt that in utero. Or what you'll see sometimes is that somebody might have had a good birthing or young year experience, but as an adult right now they're really struggling to yield because they don't have that support, that ability to just rest and to settle because they're always scanning for danger in survival mode, right? We might notice that some of our clients will go into like a collapsed state, an exhausted state, right? Or we might see people who are constantly on the go and they don't even know how to yield, or they're looking for a yielding or looking to anchor or to settle, but they've never been successfully been able to do that, right? So when we practice relaxed alertness, it's common for emotions, to come up and for the body to actually slowly be able to settle into this feeling of calmness, right? We have clients who've never had the feeling of yield. I know that a lot of clients who haven't really successfully yielded or aren't yielding right now, I'll see that they're either just stuck in this like depressed, exhausted, collapsed state of chronic exhaustion because they're always in fight or flight, either physically always on the go or emotionally always scanning or constantly getting in and out of relationships or overworking or mentally constantly navigating a lot, or physically. And so there's either this exhaustion of collapse, which is not a yield, or there's this chronic doing and being, right? Almost trying to find, I almost think of like the book called Are You My Mother? Like it's like the little kid looking for like, are you my mother, right? Are you my mother? Can I settle? And the good work here is helping our clients be able to settle and to yield. And yield, actually, the difference between collapse and yield is that yield is nourishing. Yield helps us settle, right? Collapse is exhausting. It's just like a state of collapse and then you wake up. But yield is nourishing. It's like coming into a home where you get respite, you get relief, you get connection, you get nurture. It's just like, I can just be. So with clients who are needing yielding, we'll practice really slowly somatically on the experience to like let the chair hold them, right? Or I might try a somatic experience where if they feel like they're carrying the weight on their shoulders, I might actually hold their arms, hold under their arms and allow them to collapse into me. Let me show this to you with a stuffed animal. So I'm going to show you what that would look like. So we use this little, this little animal. We call him a little sloth. We use him for child work or for, like working with parts. But let me just use his arm so I can show you what it would look like in terms of the yield. So if this was my client, the way that I'm going to work with the client in terms of helping them with yield or needing to be able to feel like they could relax, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to tell my client, I want us to try something. I want you to feel the exhaustion. I want you to feel the tiredness, okay? And what we're going to do is, I explain this to them, what we're going to do is I want your arms to really just feel all that burden, all that tension. We just feel it, feel it, feel it. And I want you to lift up your hands, feel all that you're holding. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slowly put my hands under yours, right here. And I want you to allow me to hold all of the weight that you're holding, your mind, your body, the weight that might feel like the world's on your shoulders or whatever it is that you're holding and have been holding, okay? And I want us to just try something. Obviously, I have to ask the client, do you feel comfortable? I can first try holding your hand, but I've done this successfully with clients. So what I'm doing is, I can't do it on myself, but what I'm doing is, and it has to be a client that's okay, you have to assess if it's appropriate for that client, but they're gonna feel like the weight of the world on their shoulders, right? Say this is my client, exhausted, never really got to yield. So I'm coming towards them, I'm facing them, right? They're standing, and I'm standing, or they're sitting, and what we're doing is that I'm going to put my hands right here, near their armpits, but not their armpits, right? Like I'm holding it right here, okay? So I'm cupping it. So what you're gonna see is that I'm facing my client, right? So if you were watching this session, this is my client, I'm facing my client, and I'm holding under their arms right here, okay? Obviously, this is not a human being, but it's like right here, I'm holding it right here, and I want them to feel the support of my hand, so I'll hold it, and the weight's coming down and down and down, and I'll be like, I want you to really be able to relax into it. I'm going to show this to you from a forward standpoint, so if the client is kind of facing me, right, I'm going to be facing them, and I'm holding it from under here, okay? So I'm literally supporting their arms, and the client usually drops their arms, allows the weight to be in my hands, and I'm holding them up. And often there's some really powerful work that's happening, because essentially what they're doing is that they're allowing their body, right? So essentially it's like their body to be held by me. So they're putting their hands out, and I'm like, allow your body to feel my hands and the support of my hands holding your arms. And I'm doing that, and they're like, some clients are still holding up the weight, and I say, I feel like you're still holding some stuff. I carry some really heavy weights. Obviously do this only if you can, but somatically it's a very powerful intervention, and I'm putting my hand here, and I'm really holding them up, so the client slowly over time allows the weight to go in the hand and almost like let it drop. And I feel the weight, because I want to feel like they're really letting their weight go into my arms. I'm feeling the weight, okay? And I said, can you just stay right here, right now, with that feeling of my arms, my hands, holding your hands and all the things that you're carrying right here, right now, okay? So I'm obviously doing this from under, and I'm holding it up, right? Kind of what I showed you, like with Mr. Sloth, like right under here, and I'm holding it. I'm holding it from the front because I want the client to orient to the here and now, but I'm literally holding under the arms, right here, and I'm holding it. Now, why am I doing that? Because I want the body to have a felt sense experience of what it feels like to be held with the pressures and the burdens. Now, I have clients who say, well, I go home and I have other responsibilities and no one's really doing that. And I'm like, I know. And I wonder if right here, right now, we can just practice with this experience of just being able to settle for a moment, okay? Because a lot of times these clients have never had anyone hold anything for and with them. And although they still have life and responsibility, and I can't take it away from them, and it's not my job to, I do want their body to have a felt sense experience of them really exhaling and allowing someone else to hold for and with them, whatever it is that they're holding. And so I had a client once literally just like collapse into it, and she was just like, oh my God, this is like the best feeling in the world, right? Like I'm really being held. And I have some clients who will like allow me to hold them, right? Just right under their arms. And they won't really let the full weight go on me because they're not really trusting me fully, or they're afraid it's too much for me. And we'll process that. And slowly over time in different sessions, like I had a client once who's like, let's do the arm session. And obviously we have to set it up. I'm not just like, give me your arms. We have to set it up where like we're working with directly the part of them that's exhausted or needs to yield. And then I'm working directly with that. So I'm holding, I'm being with, I'm feeling the weight, and I'm allowing their body to slowly digest and almost like download the felt sense experience of really being held or being supported, right? Because a lot of these people haven't had that. For some of my clients where we're not using touch, what I might say is like, can I put a pillow behind your head, right? So I'm going to take the pillow, put it behind your head, and could you just lean into it? Just lean into it and notice that we have 45 minutes, or we notice that we have another 20 minutes, and all of that time belongs to you. You come here once a week, and the best we can do for you and your nervous system is to allow this room to support you, allow me to be here for and with you. Okay? So that's one of the pieces of yielding.